The untouched, unspoiled islands create a sense of timelessness, an appreciation of ourselves as mammals existing in a speck of time. The origins of life and how it evolves are as plain to see as the clouds. Life is, at its core, about the weather and the terrain, the geology, and the opportunity for sustenance. Yes, we are on a luxury boat with a crew to navigate and cook and clean for us. Absent the internet and any contact with the rest of the world, life is simpler. Time passes differently. We're at the mercy of the elements. At moments, watching the fur seals sunning on the rocks, marveling at pelicans preening their feathers, or trying to capture shots of blue-footed boobies staring out at the ocean in search of sardines. I had the feeling of being in the Garden of Eden. And there's even a poison apple tree, as pointed out on our first stop at the Tortoise Breeding Center. Here, tortoises are artificially incubated, and when hatched, kept in semi-captivity in increasingly larger spaces until they're able to fend for themselves. At that point, they're repatriated or released into the wild. Tortoises lay their eggs but feel no attachment to their offspring. There will be more eggs. In the animal kingdom, among sea lions, for instance, moms remain close to their babies, raising them and teaching them the necessary skills for survival for about 3 years. Catching sticks in their mouths while swimming, for instance, trains them to catch fish. If a second pup is born during the first 3 years, the stronger of the two, invariably the eldest, will get more of mom's investment of time and energy. The colony's established with a bullmaster and his harem. He is the protector. The moms are responsible for going out to sea and getting the fish that will feed them and in turn their young. What we see in the Galapagos archipelago is truly everything that Darwin taught, from natural selection to survival of the fittest. Each island attracts and sustains different species depending upon the vegetation and who it will support. Red-footed boobies nest in the branches of the trees.
You probably are wondering why there are so many boobies here, how they can establish and don't compete with each other. It's because they have different feeding behaviors. Okay?
Frigate birds can't land on the ground with their enormous wingspan, so they perch on the trees on higher ground or on the mast of our ship. Cactus grow taller here because the tortoises, and sometimes the iguana, eat the leaves within their reach. Seeing cactus growing plentifully by the ocean is both jarring and a curiosity, so there is such a thing as a desert island. There are no candy wrappers or wastebaskets here. All is tightly controlled in the national park. How and when humans are permitted on an island, who can live in the Galapagos. The chain of command is clear. Our guide, to whom we defer, defers to the captain, who gets his marching orders from someone else. This is truly a model for intelligently planned and controlled tourism, which sustains the local economy. Walking around these uninhabited islands, one can't help but marvel at the notion that 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, the only differences were the size of the plants and the flow of the lava. Anything invasive that's not indigenous to the island is eradicated as best it can be. Pirates, whalers, and buccaneers brought goats to the island hundreds of years ago, and as a result, their population has established. They've adapted to the conditions and now disturb the delicate ecosystem, which creates an imbalance for the endemic plants and birds. And so rangers are permitted to shoot the goats. We spotted 3 of these wild goats, and our naturalist said that he'd report it to the authorities, who would then find and eliminate them. Our morning excursion was to a red sand beach, and in the afternoon we were off to a white sand beach. Shortly after our arrival, it began to pour. Undaunted, we headed off on a walk. The juxtaposition was really something. Lava tubes heading down from the island known as Sombrero Chino, Chinese hat, and endless amounts of white coral, which someday will become white sand. We witnessed a sea lion colony, a marine iguana colony, and a fight between 2 red crabs. Put up your dukes. As our clothing and hiking boots became drenched, it felt like we were walking on the moon. And then we disrobed, jumped in the water, and embarked on our final snorkel in the Galapagos. The white sandy bottom allowed us to see clearly schools of new fish, a Galapagos penguin perched on a rock, and a white-tipped shark.
So stoic.
Returning to shore, I had a close personal encounter with a sea lion who had been circling our panga.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Oh, where's the camera? Oh my god.
Luckily, Sundar caught the moment on his iPhone. What a finale. In one day, Fred jumped off the top deck of the ship, chased a shark with the GoPro, and got to visit El Capitan in the control room. Check marks on the bucket list for sure.